Hello YouTube. Wanted to do a quick video on one of the objects I shot a couple of years ago with an older camera. It's a CCD I charged couple device. It is not what we consider a modern camera. It is still a very sensitive um, camera, but it's a lot more noisier and a lot less sensitive than the modern CMOS sensors. But the reason I wanted to shoot this video is just to kind of show that you could take incredible images even with older sensors or cameras, and it doesn't really require to have the best of the best to get incredible images. It helps, but it doesn't have to. So in today's image, we're going to look at hydrogen oxygen image of Thor's helmet. This is NGC2359. It's a spectacular bubble of gas that you can find in the constellation Canis Major, or the large dog. It's named after its distinct shape, which looks like the god of thunder's helmet, the Norse god of thunder, Thor. I captured this a while ago. It was about 14 hours of data, 7 hydrogen, 7 oxygen. The impressive part for me is that each exposure is half an hour or 1800 seconds, and the stars are round, and it looks really good. But this is not going to be a really long video, so let's get to it. Let me show you what equipment I use, and let's see how we can get this done. I need to look behind my camera. Here we go. So this is the equipment I use, the exact equipment. It is the RC, the TS Optics RC. It's a GSO telescope rebanded for TS Optics. It's a 12-inch Ritchie Chrétien f8, has a dew shield, a computer on top to collect data, a focuser here to move the focus in and out. I'm using the TS Red, or the 0.8 corrector reducer from Telescope Express. And this is the Proxima, LB Proxima OAG Italian off-axis guider with a focuser, the KISS focuser at the top. Now, this is the actual CCD. It's a Moravian 16200, one of the best companies out there. Moravian, they make incredible devices. They have built-in filter wheels and excellent cooling. The only problem is it's USB 2.0, and at 16 megapixels, it takes about 20 seconds to download an image. I know, it's old. The sensor itself is probably dating to almost 20 years ago. So it's not a new camera, but you can still find some of these used out there. There's the KAF or the Kodak 8300. It's a really good sensor. It's not as good as, let's say, the ZWO 2600 QHY 268, but it'll beat the ZWO or QHY 183 or 1600. It's a lot better. So it's going to be a lot more repeatable. It's easy to flat field. It has a big well depth of, I believe, 60,000 electrons. 16 megapixels, a really good resolution. 6 micron pixel size, good for large telescopes. So I actually traded this camera, and I kind of regret it because it was a really good camera. I got some incredible images. My first great images came with this camera. Inside here I had a set of Chromas 3 nanometer 2-inch threaded, and yeah, I think I kind of missed that camera, but it is what it is. Now I'm using different sensors, the CMOS sensors, so I still have friends who use CCDs and get amazing results. Ryan McMurray is one of them. So let's look at the data. Data looks okay. Now, there's some noise in hydrogen just because it's a CCD. There's some weird, maybe my flats were wrong, I don't remember, but maybe I moved the camera because you can see there's some like framing issues. It was okay. The stars are ground across the field. It's a 35 millimeter sensor, so it's a little bit, it's between a full frame sensor and a crop sensor. It's technically, it does fit the full frame sensor size, but it's a little bit smaller than your typical full frame, like your 43 millimeter full frame modern CMOS sensors. Looks really good. The stars around at half an hour exposure each. I'm ecstatic. There's some issues with some of the camera artifacts because of the long exposures. You get these weird diffraction spikes. They're not that annoying. I was used to them. I think there's something to do with the micro lensing. It's a micro lensing defect on the camera, but I shouldn't be exposing for half an hour, which, it is what it is. It was more of a bravado thing than anything else. The oxygen data looks also really clean. Not much to it. I actually went ahead and did some dynamic background extractions a little bit, but as you can see, it's not perfect. And it was fine. I knew that I had to crop these pretty dramatically, so I'll be left with probably, if I remember this correctly, almost like this would be the final frame. It's still 3000 by 3000 pixels, enough for me to kind of post, enough for me to kind of work with. So these are the raw stacks. So 7 hours, 14 by 1800 seconds each. Now let's look at the actual stack data. Stack data looked good. Now the detail was really good. You can see the little wings look pretty good. There's a lot of noise. So CCD cameras have a lot of noise. You cannot get around that. There's some sensors who are more noiseless than others, but this sensor is actually a very good sensor when it comes to noise, but still, compared to CMOS, it's pretty noisy. It is, though, amazing because you don't have to play with offset or gain or any other setting. You just expose. That's all you do. You don't have to do anything else. There's no settings like you would have to figure out for your CMOS sensor. What's your offset? What's your gain? It doesn't matter. It's not changeable. There are companies like FLI who make incredible cameras who have faster download speeds, but still, they're still a little bit behind. I believe Hubble uses CCD sensors to capture in its camera, so the technology is still useful if you know what you are doing. So here's the stack. I restacked this the other day, and I used the blur exterminator for deconvolution and the star reduction, and it turns out it did a better job than I thought. Then, like usual, I would remove the stars, stretch the image, and then apply SCNR to remove the green. The stars was actually really, really small and quite manageable. After I removed the green, I didn't have to do any color mixing, so I didn't have to go into Photoshop as much. All I did is a couple of more S-curve enhancements, a little bit of saturation, and some HDR multi-transform, and I was here. Again, the image is good. Now, this is a very small target. It's not like you can see this you can image this with a small refractor. You probably can, but it won't have any resolution. It took, I believe somebody the other day, I think Craig Stokes imaged it with a 14-inch to get really good details from a very dark site in Chile, or I think New Mexico, somewhere at the dark side anyway. So my merely 12-inch telescope did okay, did good. And again, after I processed it a little bit, enhanced the saturation, did an S-curve to pull the details out, did some noise reduction, and then in the end I brought the stars back in, and it's not the same quality as the Rosette image I did the other day or the Veil, but it's not far off. If I would have collected more data, because the sensor is only 54%, it has a 54% QE, it's almost half the sensibility of a CMOS sensor. So that CMOS sensors usually go about, the quantum efficiency is 90%, somewhere there, and the CCDs are in their 50s. So if I had maybe twice more data, I think I could have made it a little bit cleaner, but I don't think that this is a bad image. I think this is a really clean, well put together image. I've seen a lot of great images recently of this. I think Hannah Blutchford won an APOD for one with her diffractor, so it's impressive what she could do. And I think Craig Stokes also took a beautiful image of this, I believe with a 14-inch IDK or CDK or something like that. So I wanted to put my image out there. I wanted to show what older gear can do. A lot of astrophotography is knowing your equipment, knowing the limitations, and working around them, and knowing what processing techniques you could use to enhance that. If you know you have a bad star field, then you might have to do a lot of stardust images. If you know that you have tilt that you don't really want to fix, you have to reduce the stars. If you know that maybe your mount doesn't track as well, you might have to do shorter exposures. All of these things, you should be able to fix, but at the same time, you can work around them. This is the image. I didn't want to do too long of a video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this around this image around on social media as much. It's also chosen as a topic nomination for Astrobin back in the day. I think it's good. I look forward to your comments. And also, if you have any questions about the differences between CCD and CMOS cameras that you can't find answers for on Cloudy Nights at Astromart, I'm sure I won't have the answers, but ping me anyway. Again, it's not about your technology, it's about knowing what you're working with and making the best of it. Once you learn your equipment, it doesn't take long before you can take stunning images and learn how to process. Thank you and Happy New Year. And I hope 2023 is a better astronomical year for everybody and a better year all around. Thank you and bye.